Hey guys, so don't mind me popping up halfway through the month with a TBR video. So September is just already such a long month. Oh my goodness. So the first thing that I want to address is my 100 book challenge and where I'm at with that. As of today, which is September 14th, I've read 74 books, which puts me 4 to 5 books ahead of my Goodreads 100 books in a year challenge. So I'm feeling pretty good and confident about that. Very soon I will be posting an August wrap up, and I did a really great job in August with reading. I'm very proud of myself, little pat on the back there. But September, definitely a little bit of an interesting month here. So far it's been absolutely insane. But what can you do? That happens sometimes, right? So the next thing that I want to address are the 2 challenges for my 100 books in a year challenge for the month. The first one is the Instagram book challenge of the month, and you guys chose The Siren by Kira Cass for me to read this month. This, counter to my initial thought, is not a mermaid book. It's a book about sirens, which apparently are different, and these women essentially were shipwrecked and almost drowned, but were given an opportunity to have a new life as sirens. So if they can work for the ocean for 100 years, they will stay young for 100 years, and they just periodically work for the ocean, singing beautiful songs and luring ships to wreck. So far, I am 32 pages into this book. I don't really like it, but I'm going to read it. I will finish it this month for the Instagram challenge. The second challenge was given to me by the lovely Jess May, and she gave me a lot of different challenge options, and the one that I'm going to choose to use this month is to read a book in one sitting in a coffee shop. So I have a lot of different options to choose for this particular challenge. I'm not sure yet which book. That's the challenge that I have chosen for the month of September, and I couldn't be more thrilled about it. I love going to coffee shops, sitting down, and just taking a breath and relaxing and reading a book from start to finish. So definitely need to choose a shorter book because I don't need to live in the coffee shop, but I'm looking forward to this one. Next up, we need to talk about some books that I've already read that are on my TBR because, you know, it's the middle of the month. And so the first one is Every Exquisite Thing by Matthew Quick. Now, Matthew Quick is the author of the Silver Linings Playbook, which I've never read, but I have watched in movie format. This is the story of a high school senior who is struggling with her identity, trying to figure out whether what she's doing with her life is based on what she wants to be doing with her life, or whether it's based on the ideas and notions of other people and what they want her to do. I don't want to say too much about this book because I'll be speaking about it in my wrap-up, but it is definitely an emotional story. It includes an aspect of therapy, which I really appreciate, especially as someone who is currently in graduate school becoming a licensed clinical mental health counselor. After that, I'm going to read Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell and illustrated by Faith Erin Hicks. This is an autumnal graphic novel. As you probably know, I adore Rainbow Rowell. I think that her characters are so lovable and that her prose is very relatable, and I always get drawn into her worlds. And so I was very, very excited to see that she was coming out with a collaboration graphic novel surrounding my #1 favorite time of the year. Again, I'll be discussing this in my wrap-up, but essentially if you're looking for a cute story about 2 friends who work in a pumpkin patch and are going off to college next year, so it's their final shift together working at the pumpkin patch, then this is probably a great story for you. The next book on my TBR is Men Without Women by Haruki Murakami. I've read multiple Murakami books in the past and have found that he is a fantastic long-form writer. Now, that being said, this is a collection of short stories. All of these stories follow male characters and the changes that occur in their lives due to the absence of women in their lives, whether they've lost someone or they never found someone or they've left someone, etc., etc. It really delves into the relationship dynamics between men and women, and while I can see that it could be problematic in a heteronormative sense, I thought that it was a very interesting take on looking at the dynamics between men and women. I was most interested in listening to this novel in September because I really like finishing things and I felt so harried and exhausted this month so far that I just wanted something that I could feel like I was getting through quickly, and that's why I picked up this one this month. Next, let's talk about an extended essay by Jhumpa Lahiri called The Clothing of Books. This is a very, very short approximately 70-page long essay detailing her relationship with book covers. I really don't have that much interest in learning about Jhumpa Lahiri's opinion on book covers, but I've made it a mission to read all of her work, and so I decided to pick this one up. And again, you know, I was kind of in the mood to just like get through something quickly. A tangent with that thought is related to my 100 books challenge, and I'll definitely be discussing it more in my 100 book challenge wrap-up video or discussion video. But essentially the challenge has encouraged me to pick up shorter works, graphic novels, poetry collections, essays, short story collections, things like that, in order for me to reach my goal. And initially I thought that that was a negative thing, like, oh, I'm not reading long books, maybe it doesn't count, maybe I'm cheating. But now that I've reflected on it a little bit, I think that it's actually a very positive thing, because it's encouraging me to step out of my comfort zone and my comfort genres, if you will, to really read a lot of things that I wouldn't otherwise read. So if you are interested in learning more about book covers and the process of a book being clothed, or if you just love Jhumpa Lahiri and the way in which she writes and strings her words together, then that might be a good book for you. Alright, now we are kind of to the official TBR, because now we're in the territory of books that I have yet to complete. And so the next book that I want to talk about is Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney. Sally Rooney is an Irish author whose strong suit is really looking in depth at people's personalities and the way in which they relate to one another and their inner worlds, their very complex, microcosmic inner worlds and thoughts. Last month I read Normal People by Sally Rooney. Absolutely loved it. I filmed and posted a review for that book if you're interested in hearing my thoughts, and so I decided to pick up her one and only other novel. I don't want to spoil anything, but the very brief synopsis is there's this set of college friends who meets a more famous photographer and author and her husband, and then they become enmeshed in their lives. With some of the characters start to develop romantic feelings for one another, and it's dealing with the complexities of having relationships within groups. The next book on my TBR is actually a manga, which is very out of my normal purview, but this one is called The Girl from the Other Side by Nagabe. And it's black and white, which I don't love, but I guess that's pretty normal for manga. And it's about this little tiny girl in the white who has basically accidentally ended up on the other side, or kind of like the underworld, and is in this land of demons and monsters, and she's just this sweet little innocent girl. So I'm very, very interested to kind of delve into this dark fairy tale that's told in a visual and linguistic format. Speaking of mixing up our genres, the next book that I have to show you is actually a poetry collection, and that is No Matter the Wreckage by Sarah Kay. Sarah Kay is a very well-known and influential spoken word poet. She actually has a TED Talk, and you can watch her perform her poetry online. She is very powerful. She's a very powerful performer. She has several collections out, but this is the one that kind of just spoke to me, probably because of the cover. It's very reminiscent of The Great Wave off Kanagawa, which is a piece of art that I really love and connect with. And I'm not entirely sure what the themes are that are present in this work, but I'll definitely let you know at the end of the month. My current audiobook that I'm listening to is Wicked Fox by Kat Cho. I've been listening to this for a while because I put it aside when I started listening to Men Without Women. It just wasn't jiving with me. I wasn't loving it, and I have a lot of feelings about that, and this isn't the video to discuss them, but Wicked Fox is a Korean folklore-based story about a gumiho, or a fox woman, who basically consumes the souls or the energy of men. Our main character is a teenager. She will be immortal, but she also isn't old yet. Like, she's just begun her journey as a gumiho, and it deals with the relationship she has with her mother, who is this ancient creature who hates human beings, and then also her new friendships that she's developing as she's moved to a new school. I've heard people say that it's very reminiscent of K-dramas, like Korean TV, which I haven't watched any of, so I can't say if that's a fair comparison. I would imagine so, as the author has stated that she drew a lot of inspiration from K-dramas, but I'm really not very well versed in Korean culture at all. So anyhow, this is a good learning experience for me, but it also feels like there's a bit of a learning curve with getting into the vibe of this sort of work. I do plan to finish it this month though. The final book that I have to feature in this video today is probably the one that I'm most excited about and also the most daunted by, and that book is Dark Dawn by Jay Kristoff. This is book 3 in the Nevernight Chronicles and by far my most anticipated book of the year. I love the main character, Mia Corvair. She is such a kind of scary badass and she's just so full of grit. These books are darkly humorous. That's such an understatement. They're hilarious and they have such a fast plot and the characterization is just on point. I absolutely adore Jay Kristoff. I think that he is a fantastic author and his sense of humor is just so wonderful. So wonderfully terrible. Anyhow, this is the conclusion to the series and I have been waiting for this book for years because this book was supposed to be released last September and then because of all of his other projects it had to be pushed back an entire publication year. So I have a lot of expectations. I also am afraid that I have forgotten specific details about the world, so I'm wondering if I should go back and reread the first 2, but then I'm like, no, that would take forever. They're super duper thick. So I'm not really sure. I'm feeling like I should have already started it the day I got it, but I'm like worried. So let me know down below in the comment section if you have any tips or suggestions for how to kind of get over that fear of launching into the 3rd book in a series when you haven't read the first 2 in a while and when you really love the series. Also let me know if you know of any great like summary videos for these books. That's probably what I'll do. I'll probably go find some summary videos and watch those. Alright friends, thank you so much for watching this video and I hope you enjoyed it even though we're halfway through the month. And let me know how your September is going. Is it chill? Are you going back to school? Is it really busy? Are you really happy about autumn? How are you feeling? Let me know down in the comments below what book is the #1 priority book on your September TBR and how you're doing with your reading for the month. I'd love to know. Until next time, I'm sending you love.